The Curious Story of Bakerstown. There was once a village high in the mountains called Bakerstown. It was a very unusual place. You see, Bakerstown was made entirely of gingerbread. Every house was made of gingerbread, every barn was made of gingerbread, and so was every animal, wagon, chicken coop, and mailbox. All of the people who lived there were made of gingerbread too. This town had been lovingly baked and constructed and brought to life by the baker. That's why it was called Bakerstown. Each week, the baker would meet with the gingerbread men and women. He would spend time with them, hearing their questions and answering them wisely. He helped them remember to sleep in their Ziploc sleeping bags at night so that their gingerbread would stay fresh. He also reminded them not to do any crazy stunts or their gingerbread arms and legs might break off. They would also have long talks about the affairs of Bakerstown, as well as hear great stories about the baker himself. Their weekly meetings with the baker were the people's favorite time of the week. Then one day, a visitor came from across the mountains. He came on a day that the baker was not in Bakerstown. This visitor was very mysterious, and the gingerbread men and women of Bakerstown invited him to the local inn for some supper. Being curious and hospitable, they asked him many questions about where he was from and what he did for a living. Then, the most startling thing of all happened. A small gingerbread girl piped up and asked the stranger, "And do you see the baker every week like we do?" "Ah, the baker," said the stranger with an odd look on his face. "We have not talked in a while, not since I started sleeping outside of my Ziploc sleeping bag. You see, I found that once I started sleeping outside my Ziploc sleeping bag, I did not need the baker any longer. I traveled here to see if you had gotten rid of your Ziploc sleeping bags yet or not." The crowd of gingerbread people stared at the visitor. Not sleep in a Ziploc sleeping bag every night? Why, that was the one thing the baker reminded them of often. "We must sleep in our sleeping bags every night so that our gingerbread will stay fresh," replied the mayor of Bakerstown. "Otherwise, we will dry out and crack." "Did the baker really say that you would crack?" asked the visitor. "Don't you know that if you sleep outside of your Ziploc sleeping bags, your gingerbread will actually become even stronger than it is now? You will finally be able to do crazy stunts and not worry about your arms and legs breaking off." With that, the stranger finished his mug of milk, bade the people of Bakerstown farewell, and moved on past their mountain village. Now the gingerbread people of Bakerstown had a lot to think about. Would the baker really tell them to sleep in their Ziploc sleeping bags every night if it was really better to sleep without them? Did the baker not want them to become strong? Did the baker not want them to be able to do crazy stunts and tricks? The gingerbread people held a meeting that night at the town hall. A few of the people wanted to wait until they spoke with the baker himself at their next meeting, but more people were intrigued by the thought of becoming strong and trying some stunts and tricks that the baker had told them not to do. Secretly, most of them wondered if the baker had been so firm about the Ziploc sleeping bags because he didn't really want them to have any fun. "What if we could leap off the side of a mountain and not be hurt?" said one gingerbread man. "What if I could run at an icicle and break it into 1,000 pieces?" said a gingerbread girl. And soon, the thought of being unbreakable and able to do anything they wanted won over the whole town. That night, no one slept in their Ziploc sleeping bags. The next morning, each gingerbread person noticed his or her gingerbread was a little firmer. A few of the gingerbread people had some crumbs flake off now and then, but the crumbs were so small that no one was really worried. Nothing really bad had happened, and the whole town became even more convinced that the baker had been holding out on them. They spent another night and another without using their special sleeping bags. Then, on the next day, it happened. One gingerbread man thought he'd become so strong from sleeping outside of his sleeping bag that he tried to jump from the highest rock near the village. Far from being invincible, the gingerbread man hit the ground and his leg broke clean off. Before he could hobble back to the village to warn the others, everyone else had tried to do some crazy stunt or another, and every single gingerbread person had cracked, chipped, or broken his or her own gingerbread limbs. Their beautiful gingerbread had dried out and become brittle. Their lovely gingerbread smell had gone away. Now they were stale. It was a mess. "Oh no," they wailed. "We are broken. We are ruined. Why did the baker let this happen? What should we do?" And they tried as best they could to make crutches and slings and bandages, but none of those remedies helped much. They finally gathered in the town square to try to figure out how to fix everything. But everyone was yelling and shouting, and no one was listening, and the mayor was worried he might have a riot on his hands. "What's going on?" unexpectedly boomed a voice they knew well. The gingerbread men and women saw that the baker had returned and was walking to the middle of the crowd. All the gingerbread men and women were suddenly ashamed, and they wouldn't look up to meet the baker's eyes. "What has happened, little ones?" the baker said again. You could tell that the baker knew exactly what had happened, like a mom or dad who knows when a child has disobeyed. But he wanted them to tell him themselves. Finally, the mayor of Bakerstown spoke up. "A stranger came through here and told us we'd be stronger if we disobeyed your rule to sleep inside our Ziploc sleeping bags. He said that we would be able to do crazy and amazing stunts, and that we may not even need to meet with you anymore. We would be able to do everything ourselves." "And how did that work out?" asked the baker. The gingerbread men and women just stared at their broken arms and legs. Some of them began to cry, but others had a stubborn look on their faces, like they didn't want to admit that anything was wrong at all. Some of them even tried to hide their broken limbs from sight. "Listen to me now, little ones. You are indeed very broken, and there is no way for you to really fix yourselves. But if you will come to me in the bakery tonight, I can make you whole again. You must simply be willing to let me do it." The baker looked very sad, for he knew the work that would be involved to repair so many gingerbread people. But he was willing to put in the long hours for any of them who would admit their brokenness and come to him. So that night, as the sun set and the lamps began to glow in the village windows, the baker opened up the bakery. At first, only a trickle of villagers came through. They came in as broken gingerbread men and women, but when they emerged, they were whole again, and in a way more beautiful than they had been before. One by one, the newly healed gingerbread men and women ran to their friends who had not gone to see the baker yet, and pleaded with them to go to the bakery. "He did not yell at me," said one gingerbread woman. "He was so kind, and he decorated me so beautifully." "You don't have to live broken," said another gingerbread man, "and you can sit and talk with the baker as long as you like. He has time enough for everyone." Some listened and went to see the baker. Others did not. They would rather prop themselves up with crutches and try to find a way to live in their brokenness. But one thing held true. The baker kept the doors of his bakery open, and he never turned away anyone who came to him in their brokenness. He truly knew how to take broken people and make them beautiful.